Big morning on this day after Super Tuesday. I'm Alicia Lewis alongside Jason Hackett.
And we're following some breaking news involving the presidential primary. We're going to get to that with Michelle in just a moment. But first, let's check in with Ben for a look at our forecast.
Good morning, everybody. It is a warmer start than this time yesterday, but temperatures are a little on the cooler side. Most of us are just below the freezing mark, officially 32 degrees at MSP. We have a warmer and breezy day in the forecast with temperatures boosting up near 50 by this afternoon. It's a mostly clear start across east central Minnesota, but from St. Cloud westward, mid and high level clouds are starting to show up. And notice far northwestern Minnesota under a winter weather advisory today where several inches of snow are in the forecast. No snow for us today. Instead, it's going to be a warm one. Temperatures starting off a little cooler, just below freezing, with increasing clouds this afternoon. High temperatures cracking the 50-degree mark. Pretty much the only day we're going to do that this week, but we do have 60s in the forecast next week. We'll talk more about that just ahead, but first, let's toss it over to Cece for your traffic. Good morning.
Good morning, Ben, and happy Wednesday. Good morning if you're waking up in New Hope and about to head out the door. Here's a look at Highway 169 at Medicine Lake Road. We see traffic picking up slightly here, but drive times look great. Should take you about 7 minutes either way. Jason?
All right, good to see. Cece, thank you very much. For the last 30 minutes, we've been following breaking news involving the presidential primary.
That's right. We've just learned Nikki Haley is dropping out of the race. New numbers overnight show she lost to former President Donald Trump by double digits here in Minnesota. In other states, the gap was even bigger. A quick look at the Democratic side. President Biden swept the nomination, beating the uncommitted vote and Minnesota Representative Dean Phillips.
Let's get back to Michelle with more on the breaking news coming in about Nikki Haley this morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Here's the top story on NBCnews.com. Nikki Haley to end presidential run, handing GOP nomination to Trump. Now, Donald Trump is now the last remaining major candidate for this GOP nomination. And this comes as the results from Super Tuesday showed that Trump was clearly favored. Of course, in Vermont was that only state. You can see here that Nikki Haley did come out on top, 50.2%, but it was her only win since taking Washington, D.C. last weekend. So take a look at this. That's her statement upon Super Tuesday before this news dropped about her campaign suspending. She said, in quote, in part, "We're honored to have received the support of millions of Americans across the country today, including in Vermont, where Nikki became the first Republican woman to win 2 presidential primary contests." Now, sources say Haley will be making her official announcement at 9 o'clock this morning, our time. And meanwhile, let's take a look at other wins yesterday on our interactive website, KARE11.com. The Minnesota Republican presidential primary, Donald Trump won in our state 69.1%. Nikki Haley in Minnesota winning by a mere 28, or not winning, excuse me, coming out on second with a mere 28.8%. And this is constantly refreshing, the latest as of about 2 hours ago or so. But take a listen to Donald Trump from yesterday speaking with the supporters in Mar-a-Lago.
I think it's going to be inspiring because we're going to do something that, frankly, nobody's been able to do for a long time.
Of course, we've got to look at the Democrats, too, here in Minnesota. Joe Biden coming out on top, not really surprising, 70.6%. Dean Phillips coming out third. Of course, he's the congressman from Minnesota, 7.8%. And here, taking number two is really the interesting part of the story. Uncommitted folks, 18.9%. That taking second place. President Joe Biden writing to X today, millions of voters across the country made their voices heard, showing that they are ready to fight back against Donald Trump's extreme plan to take us backwards. In just 30 minutes or so, we'll be talking about those uncommitted votes, what exactly that means, why that's so important, especially as it relates to the violence some voters are witnessing in Gaza.
All right, Michelle, with that full breakdown there, thank you very much. So the results bring Trump and Biden another step closer to securing their party's nomination. Former President Trump now has 995 of the 1,215 delegates needed to be nominated. You see there, Haley, not even in triple digits, the reason why she is set to drop out of that race here today. Now, on the Democratic side, President Biden is in complete control of the race with nearly 1,500 delegates. He needs a little more than 470 delegates to win that nomination.
We are still waiting for the official turnout results, but from the numbers we have so far, turnout this election was down substantially from the last presidential primary in 2020. With 2 hours until polls closed yesterday, Minneapolis Elections and Voter Services reports only 34,000 people voted. The total turnout in 2020 came out to nearly 127,000. We got up with some people who voted yesterday. Take a listen to what they said about choosing a candidate.
He's way too frickin' old. That's the thing for both candidates, though.
Am I 100% thrilled with, who are kind of the top two front runners? I would have to say not really.
I wish there was more of a uniter that we could vote in.
Now for the latest on turnout, a complete look at last night's results and more analysis looking ahead to November. Stay with us. We'll have continuing coverage on air and at KARE11.com.
Well, developing right now here at 6:06, another big story here. A tentative deal to avoid a St. Paul teacher strike next week is on the table. In a matter of hours, the teachers union will meet to push the new contract with the district to a vote. The details of the deal have not been released, but union leaders tell us they would not have agreed to this if they weren't proud of it. The next step here is to have the deal sent to members. There will be a ratification vote on that deal this week, I should say.
A new bill being proposed at the state capitol is hoping to streamline the time it takes for insurance companies to cover life-saving medication. The Minnesota Medical Association and lawmakers who are doctors say that people with chronic conditions shouldn't have to keep justifying the meds that they can't go without. At a hearing yesterday, we heard from a mother whose daughter was born with a rare disease. She said there's only one drug in the world to keep her from falling into a coma, but every year she has to convince the insurance company to sign off on the drug.
Everywhere we go with Caroline, we bring what's called an emergency letter. Because if she gets sick and her ammonia gets high, it isn't weeks that we could see impacts, it's hours. And doctors have told us it truly could be minutes.
Our healthcare organizations are hiring entire teams of people to be able to do the paperwork that prior authorization needs. So that's adding cost and time on our end as well.
The insurance company lobbyists testified the pre-authorization process, especially for highly specialized drugs, is necessary to make sure that patients are on the best, most effective medication.
Well, heads up, if you recently bought a lottery ticket in Roseville, check those numbers. Someone bought Monday night's Winning Lotto America ticket at the Cub Foods on Snelling Avenue. That prize, $3.73 million. So if the ticket holder chooses the cash option, they pocket $1.78 million. The Cub location gets $10,000. Lotto officials say the winner has 1 year from the drawing to claim that prize.
We're getting a live picture right now from Target Center. It's quiet now ahead of the first game of the Big Ten women's basketball tournament. Thousands and thousands of fans are going to be in town to watch their teams compete over the next 5 days. So let's take a look at the bracket. Minnesota has the 11th seed. They'll be taking on Rutgers tonight. Tip-off will happen 25 minutes after Game 1 finishes, which starts at 5:30. And opening in just a few hours from now, the Big Ten Makers Market. That's where you can find basketball tchotchkes, Big Ten decor, and clothes repping Minnesota as you get ready to cheer on your favorite teams. 50 local vendors will be selling creations at the City Center. Market will open from 11 to 6 during both the women's and men's tournaments, Wednesday through Sunday. So be sure to check it out.